Deficit Archer Rock Press. It's damn hard exercise, so bear with me if it looks like I'm struggling. The deficit depends on your ability. So essentially, the higher this is, the greater the deficit, right? So if I use a higher elevation, it's going to make the movement harder. That might be a little bit confusing, but just keep that in mind. The higher the elevation, the harder the deficit. So feet up on top of the elevation. Here I'm using a 10 kilo plate because I'm not that strong. I'm then gonna have my hands out in front of me. My hips are gonna be back and my reference point is gonna be my forehead against the floor. And I'm gonna be making sure that I do one side at a time when performing this exercise. One side at a time? Yes, one side at a time. So I'm gonna be going wider grip than usual, tucking the chin, looking down at my feet. One side, 1, 2, 3, then the other side. 1, 2, 3. Fuck, that's hard. So, some things to keep in mind. Even though this is one side at a time, so I do one side, then the other side, you're still going to be using your opposite arm a little bit when performing this exercise, and that's okay. That's normal and that's to be expected. Some other things to keep in mind as well, making sure you keep your hips up in the air and you're pivoting through your toes. If your hips start to drop, it sort of turns into a push-up, which is what we're trying to avoid. Again, the higher the deficit, up to you, depends on your ability. The higher you go, the harder it is. And lastly, just focus on control and range of motion. You want to make sure that your head is touching the ground. If it isn't, then you're sort of doing a half rep. You're not doing a full range of motion. If you're really struggling, you can bring your hands in and make the movement more bilateral, so you're using both hands at the same time. Just still try and place a bias on one side more than the other. But if you can, go out wider. As your ability improves, challenge yourself and try and go out wider as well.